sustained rate. I think next season we're only going to look stronger with Virgil van Dijk really getting embedded as the rock of our defense. He's already our defensive leader. It's amazing. Loris Karius in goal. I still think that we need to upgrade on him, but in the meantime, he's actually starting to show those flashes of brilliance that he showed when we first signed him just before he broke his finger. And I mean, what, I know that they're preseason matches, but in that preseason run up to last season when we had first bought him, he actually looked like he could be the real deal. He's starting to look a lot more confident and a lot better player than he has in the past. Like I said, our central defenders are looking better just simply because there is somebody who's vocal and who's organizing the defense in a way in Virgil van Dijk. He's making both Joel Matip and Dejan Lovren look a whole lot better on both flanks in terms of wide defenders. On the right, Nathaniel Klein's about to come back, and Trent Alexander-Arnold has really acquitted himself well in that position as well. On the left, you've got Andy Robertson, who I think is still running somewhere in Porto right now, and a resurgent Alberto Moreno. The midfield, we've got Naby Keita coming in next season. I would love it if we could be holding on to Emre Can, but it looks like he's going to be going to Juventus regardless, which is a shame. But I understand to a certain extent. He wants to go to one of those big sides in Europe. I think he's leaving the better big side in Europe, but that's whatever, it is what it is. He's going to make a boatload of money and play a lot more often than he has been right now. But we're still going to be holding on to an experienced guy in James Milner. Gini Wijnaldum is looking better and better every step of the way. Adam Lallana is coming back with a vengeance. Oxlade-Chamberlain, and of course the captain, my captain, Jordan Henderson, and of course, that front line, baby. That front line. Mo Salah, I hope that he doesn't ever go anywhere ever again. He is just absolutely magic. You've got Roberto Firmino, who has come out and said that he wants to stay in Liverpool for a very long time, and that would be just fine with me. He seems to be one of Jurgen Klopp's absolute favorite players to play. He almost seems to be first name on the team sheet in a lot of ways. And you can see why. He's a really prolific goal scorer, but he's also not selfish. He's willing to lay it off for somebody else if they've got a better shot. And then Sadio Mane, back again, scoring that hat trick in that Porto game, looking absolutely phenomenal while doing it. The first goal was maybe a little bit lucky. The other two were absolutely beautiful. You also had that insane goal, absolutely ludicrous goal from Mo Salah's first. His second was also beautiful. 5-0 against Porto. Just absolutely beautiful. And it'd be great. It's going to be great because it looks like, for two consecutive seasons, we are going to capitalize and actually qualify for the Champions League for two consecutive seasons. And you know what? Here we are. We're it genuinely looks like we're going to make it to the quarters of the Champions League, quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's amazing. Get a good draw there. Could be on to the semis. And then once you're into the semis, could be anything. But we can't look past Porto. Can't look past Porto at Anfield. Even though we have the 5 away goals, just got to do the business for 90 minutes when they come visiting in Liverpool. I'm looking forward to it, of course. Did I say a second Salah goal? Because he only got one. It was 3 from Mane, getting his hat trick and bringing back his form. And then Salah scored the second goal of the game, and that was that beautiful dink over the goalkeeper. And then header down, and then just wonderful control past the defender who had worked on the line, and then also a goal from Roberto Firmino, where Mane copied his celebration, just purely to delight, as far as I'm concerned, to delight me. If I said that wrong, I said it wrong. We're gonna go to a break now. Music is playing, and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna talk about weird media choices by Global right after this. So, as I'm sure you know, it's a difficult time to be in old media. I'm glad that I'm not. More and more, obviously, more and more newspapers are starting to go away. If you ask the Toronto Star, it's the government's fault for some reason that they had that terrible failure of a tablet program, but that's besides the point. Just read an article today that Global Media, Chorus Entertainment, is laying off 70 employees across Canada, including camera operators, reporters, anchors, control room staff, makeup artists, and other production crew folks. That's going to include 4 camera operators here in the Maritimes. I think that it is 3 in Nova Scotia and 1 in New Brunswick. The interesting part of this article, to me anyhow, was that the news that, the local news is not going to be so local anymore. It seems that the Global News Nova Scotia and New Brunswick is actually now going to be hosted by an anchor in a Toronto studio, and will be recorded out of Toronto starting this Monday. So starting today, local news in Nova Scotia is no longer local. It's coming out of Ontario, which let's just stop pretending. At that point, it's not going to be local news. It's going to be, you might as well just do a national newscast and then just be like, here are some local stories. You don't need to pretend that it's a Nova Scotia centric platform. And honestly, I think that there's something to be said about that being an increasingly niche market in a way, to have a local newscast that isn't more of a national newscast with something of a local eye for important headlines. I think that really there are 3 at the time that I'm recording this. Of course, it's changed now. There are 3 basically 3 in-house housed news stations here in Nova Scotia. There's CTV, there's CBC, and there's Global. Really doesn't need to be much beyond point counterpoint. I don't know that a third fits in a market of this size. What I am going to say, though, is it does really suck for the people who are losing their jobs or being laid off from their jobs, I guess. Obviously, they're in my thoughts. It's really unfortunate. It's a real shame that is the way that things are going. Speaking of new media, and it being difficult to enjoy old media, or easier to enjoy new media, I guess. Caught a couple of new things on Netflix. Of course, yesterday, as you're listening to this, the new Joel McHale vehicle debuted on Netflix, which is the Joel McHale Show with Joel McHale. Not a very original title there, Joel. Know you're a big listener, and clearly you just stole the format of my show's title. But honestly, I liked it a lot. I took a watch of it today and enjoyed it. I always liked Talk Soup. I always liked the soup. So, and I like Joel McHale a lot. And I'm enjoying that a lot of my favorite actors and actresses are ending up on Netflix because it's convenient for me. Joel McHale was there, and there was a nice cameo from Jim Rash and Alison Brie, a little community reunion on the show, and I enjoyed it. Also watched a Futile and Stupid Gesture on Netflix last night. It's the movie telling a story about the National Lampoon and the life and times of Doug Kenny, who was the one of the founders and editors and managing editors, and it was an okay movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cast quite a bit. I thought that a lot of the casting choices were pretty good. I enjoyed watching. Getting back to Joel McHale, I guess. Joel McHale playing Chevy Chase. I thought that was an interesting little nod to their time on Community together. All in all, though, it was pretty good. I think it was a slightly more ambitious movie than it ended up being able to live up to. You're trying to tell the story of this seminal magazine, obviously spin off from the Harvard Lampoon, that had such a profound effect on comedy in the world in its time, and really informed a lot of the comedy for years to come. And to try and cram all of that plus Kenny's real life difficulties and sort of the tragedy of his life, that's quite an ask. So I think that at moments they did a very good job with it. At other moments, I was left wanting a little bit more. So I'm going to give it a soft recommend, particularly if you're a fan of Animal House and Caddyshack and all that stuff. You're gonna enjoy looking back on it, sort of from this sort of perspective. It was really good. So we're getting towards the end of the episode here. Obviously, no guest this week from the looks of things. Wasn't able to get it to work this week, but next week we are definitely going to have a guest on the show. I've got the interview all lined up to do tomorrow as you're listening to this. So we will get a guest on the show again. I promise you that. I know I've been teasing it for like 4 weeks now or something, but it is going to happen. So we're wrapping up. We're getting towards the end of the show, so I'm just going to sort of be, I think I liked the way that I did this a couple weeks ago, where I just sort of wrapping up the end of the show, and I just sort of got some last minute thoughts out there, some things that I didn't cover elsewhere in the show. We haven't talked about on this show about Gerald Stanley's acquittal in his manslaughter, or possibly second-degree murder charge in the death of Colton Boushie, a young Indigenous man in Saskatchewan. So interesting stuff that's sort of been going on since this came down. I'm by no means a criminal law expert, but what I will say is I can understand the hurt and I can understand the pain that is going on in that family now. Certainly, I can understand that they want to do something about this. I'm not crazy about them lobbying the government of Canada, Colton Boushie's family lobbying the government of Canada, I should say, about the trial, about taking this moment to say that we need reforms. I would like to see them not do that until an appeal has gone through, has been offered, has been submitted. I'd like to see that sort of after that. That having been said, the preemptory challenges on this case were ridiculous. And it's kind of ridiculous that preemptory challenges can exist in our legal system. Basically, it allows the defense or the prosecution the Crown prosecutor to just say that a juror is is not fit for this